Welcome to our exploration of one of the most tragic events in aviation history, the Tenerife Airport Disaster of 1977. On the 27th of March of that year, two Boeing 747s, operated by KLM Royal Dutch Airlines and Pan American World Airways, Pan Am, respectively, collided on the runway of Los Rodeos Airport, now Tenerife North Airport, in the Canary Islands. This catastrophic event resulted in the loss of 583 lives, leaving only 61 survivors, and left an indelible mark on the aviation industry. Join us as we uncover the harrowing details of the Tenerife Airport disaster, shedding light on the lessons learned from this tragic event and its enduring significance in the realm of aviation safety. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful explorations of historical events and their impact on our world.
Yesterday, the averages caught up with the 747. Two of them, both on charter flights, both on the ground, collided at Tenerife Airport in the Canary Islands.
Among the survivors, all of them from the Pan Am plane, many are in serious or critical condition.
What is known now is that at least 578 people died, the worst ever. What caused it to happen?
Step onto the fog-covered runway of Tenerife, a serene island that turned into a scene of chaos and tragedy on that fateful day in 1977. The Tenerife Airport disaster is a gripping tale of miscommunication, infrastructure limitations, and the collision of two colossal aircraft that shook the aviation world to its core. In the midst of this eerie setting, KLM Flight 4805 embarked on what seemed like a routine journey from Amsterdam to the Canary Islands. It was led by Captain Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, with 11,000 hours of flight under his belt, who was the airline's chief captain, appearing in their marketing campaigns and posters. With him was First Officer Klaas Meurs and Flight Engineer Willem Schreuder. Little did the 235 passengers and crew know that their voyage would soon take a devastating turn. Meanwhile, Pan Am Flight 1736 was a cruise trip, with most passengers en route to a 10-day cruise. After their cruise, they were scheduled to be picked up and flown back to the States by Pan Am. It was carrying 380 passengers, including Captain Victor Grubbs and his seasoned crew, First Officer Robert Bragg, and Flight Engineer George Warnes, prepared to depart from New York, unaware of the impending tragedy awaiting them in Tenerife. As these two iconic Boeing 747s, each having been in service for 6 or 7 years, converged on the foggy runway of Tenerife's airport, a chain of events unfolded that would forever change the course of aviation history. On the 22nd of January 1970, the iconic Pan Am 747 operated the inaugural 747 commercial flight, marking a new era in aviation. But that's not all. In its debut year, it found itself at the center of a dramatic hijacking. On the 2nd of August 1970, during a routine flight between JFK and San Juan, Puerto Rico, the aircraft was forcibly diverted to Jose Marti International Airport in Havana, Cuba, becoming the first 747 ever hijacked. This Boeing 747-121, bearing the registration N736PA, was famously known as Clipper Victor. Let's delve into the captivating history of Clipper Victor, a plane that not only changed the skies but also witnessed some of the most extraordinary events in aviation history. In a harrowing twist of fate, the routine journeys of KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736 converged amidst chaos and uncertainty. The detonation of a bomb at Gran Canaria Airport sent shockwaves through the aviation world, triggering a sequence of events that would culminate in disaster. With both airports closed, Los Rodeos Airport faced unprecedented challenges, struggling to accommodate the sudden influx of diverted flights from Gran Canaria. As Pan Am Flight 1736 awaited departure from Tenerife, obstacles mounted, including a congested runway and an obstructive KLM plane undergoing refueling. Amidst the confusion, a search for a missing Dutch family further delayed proceedings, prolonging the tense wait for takeoff. Meanwhile, the KLM crew, engrossed in their pre-flight checklist, faced miscommunication with air traffic control as they prepared for departure. Despite poor visibility and confusion on the runway, the Pan Am crew pressed on, navigating through challenging conditions exacerbated by the absence of markings. As the KLM aircraft lined up for takeoff, misinterpretation of instructions and interference from simultaneous radio transmissions clouded their interactions with air traffic control. The tower directed the KLM plane to taxi along the full length of the runway and execute a 180-degree turn, to get into takeoff position. While the KLM aircraft was back-taxiing on the runway, the controller requested the flight crew to report when they were ready to copy the ATC clearance. However, as the crew was engaged in performing their checklist, they decided to postpone copying the clearance until they reached the takeoff position. Shortly after, the Pan Am plane received instructions to follow the KLM down the same runway, take the third exit on their left, and then proceed onto the parallel taxiway. Initially, the crew was uncertain if the controller had directed them to take the first or third exit. Seeking clarification, they asked the controller, who emphatically responded, "The third one, sir. 1, 2, 3, third one." The crew then began taxiing, using an airport diagram to identify the unmarked taxiways as they reached them. The third taxiway would have required the Pan Am plane to execute a sharp 148-degree turn, leading back toward the still crowded main apron. Upon reaching the end of taxiway C3, another 148-degree turn would have been necessary to continue taxiing towards the start of the runway, resembling a mirrored letter Z. In contrast, taxiway C4 would have involved two much gentler 35-degree turns. An Airline Pilots Association, ALPA study conducted after the accident concluded that making the second 148-degree turn at the end of taxiway C3 would have been a practical impossibility. The official report from Spanish authorities clarified that the controller instructed the Pan Am aircraft to use the third taxiway because it was the earliest exit available to reach the unobstructed section of the parallel taxiway. Tensions soared as the Pan Am captain slowly started to see the approaching KLM plane through the fog, prompting frantic attempts to evade the imminent collision. And in a desperate bid to clear Pan Am, the KLM crew executed a premature takeoff maneuver, resulting in a catastrophic collision that claimed the lives of hundreds on board both aircraft. The Pan Am captain, Victor Grubbs, says, "There he is! Look at him! God damn, that is coming!" And his co-pilot yells, "Get off! Get off! Get off!" The Pan Am pilot guns the engines, but it's too late. At 17:06:47, the KLM pilot screams, and the collision occurs.
Rescue workers are still going through the wreckage of the two jetliners this morning in the Canary Islands.
One was a Pan Am charter from Los Angeles that picked up more people in New York before flying to the Canaries. The other was a KLM charter from Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
The aftermath of the collision saw the KLM plane engulfed in flames, its wings damaged, and its engines compromised. Miraculously, amidst the chaos, some passengers from the Pan Am flight survived, their fate shaped by seating positions and sheer luck. The tragic irony unfolded as it was revealed that one of KLM's most esteemed pilots, Chief of Flight Training Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, was inadvertently involved in the catastrophe. As investigators delved into the events leading up to the collision, the Tenerife Airport Disaster of 1977 emerged as a chilling reminder of the consequences of miscommunication, infrastructure limitations, and the unpredictable forces of nature that continue to shape the future of aviation safety. In the aftermath of the devastating collision, both aircraft were obliterated, resulting in an unfathomable loss of lives. The KLM plane, carrying 248 passengers and crew, and the Pan Am aircraft with 335 souls on board, succumbed to the flames and explosions triggered by the ignited fuel spilling from the impact. Amidst this harrowing scene, a mere 61 individuals from the Pan Am flight managed to survive, a stark testament to the chaos and destruction that ensued. Miraculously, some of the Pan Am crew, including the captain, first officer, and flight engineer, emerged among the survivors. Their tale of resilience unfolded amidst a scene of carnage, with most survivors finding refuge on the relatively intact left wing, away from the site of the collision. However, their struggle for survival was far from over as they grappled with the challenges posed by the aircraft's systems rendered unmanageable in the aftermath of the crash. The ordeal was compounded by the delayed rescue efforts, shrouded in confusion amidst the thick fog and smoke. With the firefighters initially unaware of the dual tragedy, attention was fixated on the KLM wreckage, leaving the survivors stranded on the wing to fend for themselves. Eventually, faced with dwindling options and escalating danger, many survivors were compelled to brave the perilous descent to the ground below, in a bid for survival amidst the chaos and devastation.
At about this point, he saw the KLM plane charging toward him. He tried to turn into this ramp to avoid it, was too late, and they collided at that point. with the result, as we say, 578 people dead.
The day following the tragic collision, the Canary Islands independence movement initially held responsible for the Gran Canaria bombing that catalyzed the disaster, denied any involvement in the accident, adding a layer of mystery to the unfolding events. As investigators grappled with piecing together the sequence of events, Los Rodeos Airport was shut down to all fixed-wing traffic for a staggering 2 days, underscoring the severity of the aftermath. The arrival of the first crash investigators via a grueling 3-hour boat journey from Las Palmas marked the beginning of a meticulous examination of the devastating incident. In the ensuing chaos, the arrival of a U.S. Air Force C-130 transport, deftly orchestrated by Lieutenant Colonel Dr. James K. Slayton, brought a glimmer of hope amidst the despair. The C-130, landing on the airport's main taxiway, served as a vital lifeline, ferrying surviving passengers to safety while providing critical medical aid. As Spanish Army soldiers undertook the formidable task of clearing wreckage from the runways and taxiways, efforts were underway to restore normalcy, albeit cautiously, with a small plane shuttle service approved by March 30th, signaling the gradual reawakening of air traffic at Los Rodeos. The aviation landscape underwent a seismic shift following the tragic collision, with international airline regulations and cockpit procedures receiving a thorough overhaul. Stricter guidelines mandated standardized communication protocols, emphasizing the use of English as a universal language. Colloquial phrases like "okay" were deemed insufficient, replaced by readbacks of key instructions to ensure mutual comprehension. Notably, the term takeoff was reserved exclusively for actual clearance, highlighting a pivotal change in air traffic control procedures to prevent misunderstandings. Cockpit dynamics were also redefined, fostering a culture of collaborative decision-making and encouraging open dialogue among crew members, regardless of rank. The implementation of Crew Resource Management, CRM, underscored the importance of team cohesion and empowered all crew members to voice concerns and challenge decisions. This transformative approach, aimed at preventing future accidents, marked a significant milestone in aviation safety standards, setting the stage for mandatory CRM training for airline pilots in subsequent years. Additionally, infrastructure upgrades, including the installation of ground radar systems, were swiftly implemented to enhance safety measures at key airports like Tenerife North, signaling a proactive response to mitigate the risk of similar tragedies. There was also an entire episode on the Air Crash Investigation show dedicated to this incident. Specifically, the 16th episode of the 3rd season, called Disaster at Tenerife. The Tenerife Air Disaster of 1977 stands as a pivotal moment in aviation history, sparking profound changes that continue to shape air travel safety today. This catastrophic collision between two jumbo jets not only claimed hundreds of lives, but also prompted sweeping reforms in international airline regulations and cockpit procedures. From the adoption of standardized communication protocols to the establishment of Crew Resource Management, CRM, the legacy of this tragedy underscores the aviation industry's unwavering commitment to enhancing safety standards and preventing future catastrophes. As we reflect on the lessons learned from Tenerife, we are reminded of the imperative to prioritize collaboration, communication, and continuous improvement, ensuring that air travel remains one of the safest modes of transportation for generations to come. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting plane videos, and leave a comment telling us whether you think the aftermath of the accident could have been reduced or avoided altogether.